How does it feel to have zero pussy in your entire life?
Where is your uterus, man?
Fuck these cunts! Fuck these cunts! Fuck these cunts! Fuck these cunts!
I think you need your testes stomped on, because then there won't be any more. Do you know what?
I hope so.
You've never fucking found it in your life, have you? If I have an abortion, what does that do to your life?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Common Ground Conversations, where we are at the protest here at State Library, Victoria. What are you protesting? Protesting the overturning of Roe v. Wade in America. And we're asking people whether they're pro-life or pro-choice, why they believe what they believe. They're not too happy we're here.
Alrighty, as you can probably tell, things got a little spicy here at the pro-choice rally at Melbourne State Library, Victoria, on July 2nd, my birthday, funnily enough. I actually did have a fantastic time. We have around 10 convos for you today, but before we jump into things, I did just want to invite you down into the comment section below. I want to hear what you think. What's your position? Are you pro-life? Are you pro-choice? Or are you somewhere in between? I can't stop laughing just watching this footage. Anyway, drop a comment in the comment section below. Let us know what your position is. And with that, let's jump into the first convo of the day. Ciao.
Hey, how are we? Well, good. My name's Rich. What are your names?
Molly.
Molly.
Gaia.
Gaia.
Claudia.
Claudia.
Indiana.
Indiana. Lovely to meet you all. So just to frame the context, or provide a little bit of context here, our goal is to ask the important but controversial questions and then see if we can find common ground. So it's not you guys versus me, it's not me versus you guys. My number one question for each of you, just to start things, is are you pro-life, pro-choice? I'm guessing, let's have a look at the signs here. Right? So I have a feeling we've got a couple of pro-choice. So if you could each just tell me, when you say for example, you were to say you're pro-choice, what does that mean for you?
That, women should have a right to decide whether or not what they want to do with their bodies. It shouldn't be up to a man who doesn't have a uterus or doesn't know what it feels like to be raped. So I don't get why they find the need to have a choice on what we do with our bodies.
Yeah.
If you're raped or not, whatever circumstance you're in, you should have the ability to have access to abortion, because abortion is healthcare. It's the same as going to the doctors or whatever you want to call it, and there is no right for a man to take away a woman's bodily autonomy at all, and it's just not right at all.
Women should have the right
You can look at me.
Okay. Access to healthcare, simple as that. I mean, not everyone can afford to raise a child, and whether or not the circumstance is rape or another, it should be safe and accessible for anyone who needs it. Otherwise, it just ends up in more dangerous, illegal ones that will kill more women.
Right.
There's too many
Similar
kids.
position or
There's
more?
too many kids in foster care. Stop bringing more kids into the world and help the ones that are here right now.
All right. So, I guess beyond that, when do you think a life begins? Or when do you think the fetus becomes a human being with its own rights?
When it's able to, I think human life begins when it's outside the womb.
Yeah.
That is when human life begins. It doesn't start at conception. I'm sorry, when it's conceived, that's not when the life begins. It doesn't have it. It has its own DNA, but that's about it. It can't survive on its own without its mother. So yeah.
Would the two of you agree with that, or do you have a differing position?
No, I think it starts when it's fully developed in the womb. Killing a baby at 40 weeks is fucked in the head. You shouldn't that's. I don't think that's right.
Wait, so are you saying these two are fucked in the head?
No. Killing a baby at 40 weeks, I think that's just to me that's just too much. A baby's fully developed. Yeah, it's not out of the womb yet, but I think it still should.
What do you two think of that?
That's her personal opinion, and
Yeah.
I 100% get that. It would take a toll on you if you did have to kill a baby who is close to full term, but there still should be a choice if you want to get rid of the baby or not. That's
There
the
should be a
bottom line.
choice, but that's the question you asked was. But you asked when is it considered life? I think it's considered life at 35, 30 weeks.
Okay, so let's say that there was a female who's pregnant 30 weeks in, or 35 weeks, let's say, and she decides that she doesn't want the baby anymore.
Give it up for adoption or something. I don't know. I just think
you just say stop putting kids in foster care?
Yeah, at 20 weeks, yeah, when they're like literally ready. But if there's a full-on child in your stomach, that could come out because kids are born at 32 weeks. And I think that killing a child at 40 weeks is just not right. They're a full-on baby.
That's really interesting.
And you know if you're pregnant at least 20 weeks. You're not like you know that. It was like 10 weeks, even 20 weeks, you don't know.
Yeah.
But
like,
you
what
know.
if it was like the mother's life was in danger
Yeah,
if she
that's
gave
different.
birth?
That's
Yeah.
very different.
It's circumstantial.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so let's I guess it can kind of help to give specific examples and then see where we agree and where we disagree. So it sounds like at say 35 weeks, you're treating the fetus like it's now a human life with its own rights, and you're kind of balancing them with the mothers. Does that mean that a biological female who is pregnant at 35 weeks who says, I want to get an abortion, and let's say it's nothing to do with medical risk or anything like that, it's really just a matter of convenience, would you then be anti-abortion? I know that might sound weird for you.
If you like don't have unprotected sex, if you can't raise a baby, that's kind of my thing on it. Unless you're like raped, that's different. But if you're having consensual sex and you do it unprotected without Plan B or anything like that, okay, yes, I do that, but it doesn't count.
Look at his face.
Okay,
But
let's not have a war
if I got
tonight.
pregnant,
No, yeah. Hey, this is what we're
I
about,
would have
right?
the means to actually have a child if I got pregnant. So don't have unprotected sex. Don't like. There's things to stop it if you can't have a child.
And so just to clarify my position, I'll come to you in just a moment. To clarify your position, then, would that mean that essentially you want the woman to have the choice to abort or not, but if she waits too long, at some point you would draw the line and say you've had your time to choose, you've chosen to keep it, and now the fetus in the womb is a baby with its own rights, and you have to carry it to term, and then you can give it up for adoption.
Yeah, well, New Zealand you can terminate at 40 weeks, and that's not right. That's a full-on baby, and like the way
I believe you can do it in ACT as well.
Yeah, that's where we're from. But like
Oh, really?
the way that
Welcome to Victoria. Are you here?
I'm from Melbourne, but they're from
Oh,
here.
right. Are you here just for this?
No, we study in Canberra.
Oh, okay.
But like the way that they kill the child is very painful. Like they have to rip their limbs off to get the child out.
So I can see your face squirming over here. How does that sit with you?
I mean, like, I understand where she's coming from. Like, I get it. Like, if you did have consensual sex, and if it was, unprotected and things like that, having an abortion when it is like almost at full term, it may not sit well with her. But if it's going to derail your life in any kind of way, it's like I would get an abortion.
So just to clarify, it's a kind of prioritizing of the mother's life over the fetus's life. Is that because you don't think that the fetus is a life yet, or it's a life but it's just not as important as the mother's life?
I think it's still a life, but it's not as important as the mother's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a question. I have a question for the two of you. No, that's all good. That's all good. So let's say it was 39 weeks into the pregnancy, so 1 week out from giving birth. No health complications. Let's just make it simple. Say there's no health complications or psychological complications. The mother just doesn't want the pregnancy. Would you still be pro aborting 1 week out from giving birth?
Probably not 1 week out, because, like, personally for me, if it was me, I wouldn't abort the child just because I don't want it. But in another case, if it was going to derail me from doing something and accomplish something in my life, then it would be hard.
If the woman was financially stable job, has a house, the baby's fine, the mother's fine, then I don't think she should.
Yeah.
Because she's stable, got a stable income, has a house, they're both fine, they're both going to be safe during giving birth. It's when they're not financially stable, they don't have a good support system, both the mother and the baby are at risk of dying or have health complications, that's when. But if everything else is A-OK, then...
But then, so do you? To me, it sounds like it doesn't matter so much for you whether the fetus is a life or not. It's really just a matter of whether it's convenient for the mother. Is that right?
I think it's...
What am I missing there?
Okay, this is super circumstantial. That's a thing. Like,
I agree.
in one circumstance, if everything is like, if I am mentally unstable, if I'm not financially stable, I'm going to have an abortion. But if I choose to keep the child, that's on me. Like, personally, I wouldn't get an abortion at 39 weeks.
So let's say
But that doesn't change the fact that every single woman out here, or anyone with a uterus, they should always have the choice whether they want to abort it at any stage of their pregnancy or not. But personally, for me, I wouldn't at something that was like 39 weeks.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say that we were in charge. I kind of know your position, but let's say that we were in charge of writing the laws, and we're going to draw the line somewhere and say women can have abortions up until this point.
No.
We could say all the way. We could say all the way, right? Let's say it was 1 hour out from giving birth.
That's a bit.
You want to have the baby.
Yeah.
You can fucking 1 hour out, push it out.
Yeah.
So then you're anti-abortion 1 hour out.
But okay. I feel like you're putting words into our mouths, and you're being.
Tell me. No. Tell me where I'm going wrong.
I feel like if you're saying 1 hour out from giving birth, like that, I've never heard of that happen before.
I'm trying to establish.
I know.
I'm trying to establish where we would draw the line. So we can come back a little bit if we said 1 day out or 1 week out. So 1 week out before you.
The thing is, like, you should still have a choice no matter at what stage of your pregnancy.
Including 1 hour.
Yeah, personally for me, I wouldn't. But that doesn't mean that I can stop another woman from doing that.
Yeah.
But personally for me, I wouldn't do that.
What about 1 minute?
I wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't do that.
But you wouldn't you would make it illegal for other women.
No, because
Okay.
they have the choice to do it. That's the thing.
I
so-
wouldn't do it, but if the woman wanted to, I wouldn't
let her.
stand there and be like, no, you
you're not
can't.
allowed
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
that's her right. She has a
Yeah,
right
yeah.
to do whatever she wants as a woman.
Yeah.
And personally for me,
I wouldn't,
but-
but she has a right as
But
an individual.
in that instance, would you, like, I guess coming back to what we were saying before, would you still view it as killing the baby, but you're prioritizing the female's rights
we're prioritizing a woman's choice here.
over the life of the baby, though? Like, would you classify it a baby 1 hour out?
So I was raped at 13. Do you expect me to have a child at 13? When I was 13.
Yeah, but like
No, but that's the thing. Like, women get raped
But we're
even
talking
if they're
about,
not
we're
raped.
talking about like at 40 weeks, should a person be entitled to an abortion? No.
A woman has a right
Yeah,
to
a
do
woman
whatever
has a
she
right.
wants.
I think a woman should have a right to have an abortion at any stage of their life. Personally, I wouldn't. Like you said, like 1 minute out, I wouldn't. But everyone else, like every woman or every person with a uterus, should have a choice. That's what That's
You-
my
you-
stance.
Okay. You mentioned your own personal situation. So thanks for being
That's
open. I guess my question is, let's say that you decided you didn't want the baby, or you fell pregnant, you decided you didn't want the baby, and then you had an abortion fairly early, let's say first trimester. Do you see any difference between that and saying you fall pregnant, you decide that you want to keep it, and then...
Wait, in what way does she feel pregnant?
Just like
But-
by
but-
consensual sex.
No.
Through rape.
In your situation,
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So if you were raped and then you fell pregnant, you decided to keep it,
Yeah.
but then last minute you decided, let's say 1 week out,
1 week
you
out,
decided,
yeah.
I've actually changed my mind, I don't want this baby anymore. Do you think it's still okay to abort that late?
Personally, as a person, I wouldn't. But I'm not saying another woman can't.
Okay, so
'Cause
you wouldn't legally make it, you wouldn't make it illegal, but you personally would.
I
carry it
personally
to term.
wouldn't. I personally would keep it so that. Okay, we're in an interview. Fuck off. I personally wouldn't, but if another woman wanted to, I wouldn't tell her no. If she wanted to, that's her right and that's her choice. But I wouldn't.
And would you? Is it a similar position to Gaia, where you would say that it is killing a baby, but the choice of the mother is more important in that instance, or would you still not consider it killing a life?
Honestly, I don't know how to really answer that.
Like,
No, that's all good. I appreciate, like, and again, this is the point of these conversations. Is like we're trying to. So I almost want to like support your arm over here. I hope that you can sense it's not a competition of me versus you. It's a complex problem, and we're trying to hash it out.
It's like when you hear unreasonable things like, would you get an abortion 1 minute out from giving birth? I just don't, like, I've just never heard of anything like that.
Yeah.
It was just so new to me when you had said it.
Yeah. Do you see why I asked that question though?
I get it.
Like,
But it's just like, it just seems
try-
so unreasonable.
trying to pull it back and,
Yeah.
and get it more and more to a reasonable point, and then see if we can find common ground. Anyway, I think that was quite a productive conversation. I think the two of you have some common ground to establish somewhere.
I think that's just because we have different personal situations. Like, I was the product of rape, she was raped. So it's different. Like, so my mum, she had a shit life, but she wouldn't regret it. She wouldn't have had an abortion. Like, even though it was shit circumstances, she wouldn't. So that's just our different opinion, different of lifestyle and, like, things. And so it's just always going to be like that because we experience different things.
Totally awesome. Well, hey, thanks for engaging in the conversation. I appreciate it. You guys have an awesome day. Take care.
Thank you.
What would you say to a pro-lifer?
That they're welcome to have no abortion themselves, but they don't get to tell us what to do with our bodies.
Well, let's say it was women making the decision.
That's fine. They're welcome not to have one, but they need to have. At the moment in America,
Sorry, I didn't introduce myself. I'm Rich, by the way. What's your name?
Hi, Rich, Lucy.
Lucy, nice to meet you, Lucy.
So at the moment in America, they're going to be surveilling women of reproductive age.
Sorry, I don't want to have to force you to look into the sun. Do you want to maybe stand over here and walk?
They're going to be surveilling women of reproductive age to make sure that they're doing what the laws say, which is from the moment of conception, which includes some forms of contraception, that they don't affect their the blaster cyst. So this means that women who go out drinking and don't know they're pregnant might end up on murder charges in America.
Yeah, right.
What this means is doctors are already not giving women abortions to finish a miscarriage where the baby's dying, where women will die because of that failure to treat.
So perhaps to give viewers of our YouTube channel or TikTok or whatever some context, do you want to describe for them what's going on, as far as you can see it, in the overturning of Roe v. Wade?
Okay,
and
so
what the implications
what's
are?
happened in America is that the Supreme Court has theoretically sent it back to the states to decide. But there are a lot of states where they have gerrymandered and used other strategies to stop people being able to express their vote. So it's minority rule. In America, about 80% of people roughly support abortion in the chances that someone's been raped or has suffered from incest. And 60 to 70%, depending on which study you look at, support abortion in the first trimester.
Sorry, Lucy.
Right?
No, all good.
So there is majority support for it. So this is minority.
This is
for abortion.
Sorry, I got a bit distracted. It was for abortion.
For abortion access.
As a consequence of rape. Did you say?
In 80% for rape or incest, 60% to 70% in the first trimester. They have the support across the country. So in these states, these Republican states, they've gerrymandered it and they've cheated basically so that people's votes don't have the impact they ought to have. And their minority rules are being imposed on people. So in some of the states, they're making it that from the moment of conception, people aren't able to access abortion at all. And that means that women will die. They are the states that already have the highest maternal mortality rate in the industrialised world, which means that more women in that pregnancy, birth, post-birth time die in America than anywhere else in the developed world.
Right.
And they are going to be surveilling women. So if the law is that it's murder, that to in any way compromise a pregnancy, and they have already arrested poor women and women of colour for miscarriages. Legitimate miscarriages.
As a consequence of drinking or some kind
often drugs, but sometimes it's pills that have been prescribed.
I see.
And other activities. So women are told things like you're not supposed to exercise during pregnancy, all these sorts of things. So any of those things may come to be something that women can be tried for murder for if they get pregnant.
Okay. So, if you don't mind just showing your sign, what did it say? Bill of Rights, for choice, LGBTQI+ refugees. What does LGBTQI+ have to do with the protest today?
It has everything to do with it, because the people who are fighting choice in America are the same people who are fighting to have...
Well, let's come back to Australia for the moment.
Okay, so we have a replica of this American system. So we have a religious right and a radical right, and we saw that with Scott Morrison. We see that today with South Australian politicians.
What you would say Scott Morrison is a radical, right?
Yes, absolutely. He's a religious right radical.
And what makes you believe that?
Because he's part of an evangelical movement which is about suppressing rights. So he tried to bring in the religious discrimination bill to allow discrimination. When he was asked, he started the attack on trans youth. When he was asked,
attack in what sense?
He tried to make a political issue out of trans youth in sport. That's part of the religious rights agenda in America and here. He also asked, when asked about abortion, when the leaked draft of this decision in Dodds came out, he said he didn't see any need to change the settings on abortion in Australia. Now that means that he doesn't see it as a right or as a given, but as something that can be changed. And the point is that in America...
So just to clarify for anyone who's watching as well, so the system we have in Australia currently, correct me if I'm wrong, Lucy, is that state by state we have separate laws for abortion. So it's quite similar to the states now that Roe v. Wade has been overturned in the sense that the states choose or set their own laws. So for example, in Victoria, we can there's legal access to 24 weeks compared to in Tassie or the NT, I believe it's 16, and in the ACT it's right up until birth, as far as I'm aware.
But the anti-abortion people are saying because there is access to abortion later if a woman is going to die or if a child is going to die at birth approximately, so for serious healthcare reasons, the anti-abortion groups are going around saying that the secular state or the lefties want abortion right up until the moment of birth, as if feminists go around saying, oh, whoops, I'm 38 weeks pregnant, I've changed my mind. It's bullshit.
So would you be anti-abortion if a female did change her mind 2 weeks out from giving birth?
Of course, everybody's against that. It's about health.
Not everyone is. So like
Almost everyone is. It's rubbish. It's not a thing.
So where would you draw the line with respect to?
Well, it just depends what the doctors say.
Hold on. Where would you draw the line with respect to where you would be pro-abortion and where you would be anti-abortion?
It depends where the doctors say. So whatever doctors say is a fair thing. I'm fine. It's between a woman and her doctor.
What do you think the doctors should use to make their decision? I'd offer you some. No,
I've just recovered from COVID.
That's all good.
Whatever the doctors say is a fair thing. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to dictate that one.
Okay, interesting.
It's healthcare.
What if it's a matter of convenience for the woman?
It's not the point. It's not your decision. So most...
Hold on a second. So if a female were to just change their mind 2 weeks out or even 10 weeks out...
No one's going to do that on the basis of changing their mind. It's healthcare.
We might have some trouble finding common ground here, but at the end of the second trimester, so 26 weeks...
Nobody does that just for fun, right?
I'm not saying they do it for fun, but let's say that they don't feel like they're financially set up, and as a consequence, they don't want to have the baby.
I'm not going to argue with that. If that's legal within their state, it's about...
No, but I'm asking you, how would you draw the line?
I grew up Catholic. I grew up uncomfortable with the idea of sex as a physical activity. I grew up uncomfortable with the idea of abortion, but I still knew it was a woman's right, and it's nothing to do with me. My discomfort's my problem. I don't get to impose my views on other people.
Well, we do this as a collective, as a citizenship all the time. We have laws that impose or place limits on people's rights.
But the point is that it's not the society's role to impose other people's religious morality on people who don't belong to that religion. So
this doesn't necessarily have to be religious, though. So, for example, when let's say that we did have a female at the end of the second trimester who said, I'm not as financially set up as I had wanted to be, and I don't feel like I can properly take care of this kid.
Well, if it's at the end of the second trimester, then it's likely that it's not going to be allowed because there's always medical recommendations on that. But it's not my
Let's say it's 23 weeks. So it's legal in Victoria at 23 weeks.
That's fine. That's her choice. So
okay. So if she's not financially just not set up, and she makes it.
Look at what happens in America. They've done
I'm kind of interested in what
I know, but America tells us what's
going
to happen.
Go ahead. Yep.
Right. So in America, they've had a turn away study, which is women who've had abortions and women who've been turned away and contrasting them. And women in America, often in these Republican states, are poor as dirt. And the reason that 50% of people who have abortions in America think are in poverty. So the reason they're having that is because they know that the children that they already have, most of them are mothers already, won't get fed properly, won't get educated properly, won't get looked after.
Yeah.
Right?
So I was looking at some CDC data over the past week. 85% of abortions are from unmarried mothers. And they cite reasons like financial issues or not being able to take care of the kid. Just let me finish one sec. 60% of the abortions they already have a kid.
Yeah.
Right? So it's mostly mothers already
Because
who've
they
then
know they
had
can't look
who've
after
then
the children that
who've
they've
then
got.
had sex and
So
become
you're saying
pregnant.
they shouldn't have sex?
Right, so you're saying
That is not what I'm saying. No.
It sounds like.
Well-
You picked out the fact and they'd had sex.
Well, I mean, how else do you have a baby?
Well, indeed, but the fact that you're isolating that as a point sounds to me like you're judging women on that basis.
I'm pointing out the fact that when you have
but
sex,
the fact-
you have a baby.
You frame something by what you say, right? And you chose they had sex. You didn't say they got pregnant. You just said they had sex
Well,
and got
they did have sex and got pregnant.
But it's a choice that you made to say that. You didn't have to emphasize that. Is that because you're judging women for having sex?
Well, I think that there are consequences for having sex, and sometimes
why don't men have
and if you let me finish, and you have to bear the consequences of your
Yes,
decisions.
exactly. Which is why, if you're Christian and you're anti-abortion, don't have an abortion, but don't impose it. Jewish people, Muslim people don't have the same rules. Catholic Church, apparently, I don't know about this, won't baptise stillborn babies because they haven't drawn a breath. It's nothing to do with the rest of the world, what a woman chooses. So we just back off and leave them to it. And I will not.
What do you mean, leave them to it? Let women
them to
decide?
make decision with their doctors.
Yeah, but so let's say the women decided that it was, they had to draw the line and say where it's, because all laws are
I get that.
laws are formalized morality. So
Yeah.
if women draw the line somewhere and say, hey, this is where we want to legalize and illegalize abortion, I'm trying to see where that line is.
Where it is at the moment is 22 to 24 weeks. Let's move on. That's where we've decided.
Right. Okay. What would you say to a pro-lifer to try
I
and
would say-
make them come further your direction?
You're absolutely welcome to your point of view. You don't get to tell me what to do.
Out of so essentially my body, my choice type of argument.
Well,
Is that
just
right?
in general, we don't want Sharia law telling people what to do according to Muslim law. We don't want different religions telling us, we don't want Hindus telling us we can't eat beef. We don't want Christians telling us what we can, extremist Christians, because moderate
So
Christians
yeah.
don't
So
do this.
my body, my choice. Do you think that always applies?
I don't know what stunt you're going to pull on that one.
Well, no. I'm just saying. So for things like vaccine mandates,
Look,
were you pro-vaccine mandates or
I think
anti-vaccine mandates?
I'm pro-vaccine mandates because the hospitals were going to crash. My brother's a doctor in COVID wards, and I saw what was happening to people there. I saw what happened in India. So, you have to have a bit of a contrast between the good of the community and the good of the individual. I accept that that's a thing.
Yep.
But I don't think the community is hurt by women having that say over their own bodies.
Okay. What about in an instance like conscription? Would you be pro?
I'm not
my
in
body,
favour
my
of war,
choice.
so it'd have to be a really extreme case for me to think that was an appropriate choice. I cannot imagine a situation where I think conscription is legitimate.
Okay, so anti-conscription. Okay, so that's interesting.
As far as I know.
Yep. All right, lovely. Well, I think I roughly know your position. So have a lovely day.
Good.
I'm pro for bodily autonomy.
Do you want to tell us why you believe what you believe? Hey, what's your name?
My name's Kerry.
Kerry. Lovely to meet you, Kerry. I'm Rich. So we want to ask the important but controversial questions, see if we can find common ground. So what's your position? Pro-life, pro-choice?
I am. It depends what you're asking. If you're asking about
Question.
abortions,
Yeah,
I
about
am
abortions.
pro-life.
Yep.
And if you're asking about bodily autonomy, as in the woman's body, I am pro-bodily autonomy because I'm actually here against the vaccination mandates.
Oh, right. Wait, so...
I actually have come to the wrong march. So I'm
funny.
all about my body, my choice.
Okay.
But if you've got a baby's body involved, you have no right over that baby's body. But
Wait, so you're pro-life in that sense?
I am pro-life.
Interesting. Okay. Where would you draw the line of when life begins and when you'd be anti-abortion?
Life begins at conception.
Okay, so no abortions.
I would say no abortions.
Okay, you're definitely at the wrong march. You're definitely
I'm
at
at the wrong
Well-
march.
That's hilarious.
However, I think all these people who are busy ranting, my body, my choice, need to come and say no vaccination mandates and come and join our march and actually bring back some bodily autonomy.
So I'll probably let you go quite quickly because we want to have a chat to some more pro-choices. But one question before I let you go. What would you say to someone who is an ardent pro-choicer to perhaps bring them closer to your perspective?
I would like to actually show them a baby. I have been a midwife for a very long while, and now non-practicing, I have to say, because screw you, APRA. I'm not doing as you tell me in terms of keeping my mouth shut over what has gone on with this whole COVID conspiracy. So I've had a woman who was terminating 20-something weaker, and in the next room there's a woman trying to save her 20-something weak twins. And I'm like, you don't want your baby, you're trying to get the doctors to kill your baby. Here's a woman trying to hold on to her twins. At what point is that acceptable? It's only 9 months that you're pregnant. You had a choice to have unprotected sex. It's 2022, there's no excuse for unexpected pregnancies. I'm sorry, there's plenty of contraception. There's a morning after pill. You don't have to wait and then go, oh crap, I'm pregnant, now I have to kill my baby. You're only pregnant for 9 months, suck it up. You had a choice when you had sex. No contraception's 100% effective. Anytime you have sex, you risk having a pregnancy. So, sorry, it's 9 months.
So just to play a little bit of devil's advocate here, would there ever be an instance where you would be supportive of abortion, say if a woman was raped?
Do you know how many women have abortions because of rape? It's like 0.0001%.
And so what about those 0.001%?
Is it the baby's fault? Could not that baby still... My mum was telling about a family friend who actually had that situation happen, and the baby was so loved and supported into the family. It wasn't the baby's fault. Why can't we turn a good thing out of a bad? Do two bads ever make a good?
Yeah, we actually spoke to a girl earlier today who said that she was a product of rape.
Yeah.
And her mum falling pregnant and continuing with it.
Yeah, I like to think that every baby is here for a purpose. And we don't know what that purpose is. It might be the next Albert Einstein. It might be the next amazing baby. So it's only 9 months you're pregnant, and sorry, the baby has a right. It's
okay, so in that situation, even for women who are raped and fall pregnant, you would say if you were writing the laws, you have to go through with the pregnancy.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for showing your position. I really appreciate it, and good luck finding the right
if you
march.
know where the rest of the march
I don't, unfortunately.
Who are actually for bodily autonomy, I would like to join them.
All right, well,
and if they want to come and join us about my body, my choice,
I'll let them know where to find you. All right, you take care.
Every Saturday, 12 o'clock at Parliament, we're all for my body, my choice.
Okay, all right, you take care, Lizzie. Ciao. Ahoy. What would you say to a pro-lifer?
Go fuck yourself.
And if you were to try to convince them of your position?
You're disgusting.
Die.
Are you guys getting actual consent forms for this? Because you need to get consent.
Well, it's public place, we can film.
No, but when you're interviewing people that is engaging in it, they're supposed to sign release forms.
Well, hey, you don't have to jump into the interview if you don't want.
I'm just saying that you should be getting release forms. They should be
We don't need
getting
to.
release forms from.
If you want to try and convince someone who's a pro-lifer, what would you say to them?
You're putting your laws on our bodies, but you don't give a fuck if we die in the process.
Question, is this person a woman or a man, or a person with a uterus?
Why does it matter?
Because if you don't have a uterus, it's not your fucking choice. No opinion.
Do you think that males should go to war?
Men should go to war. Anyone can go to war, but I don't believe in war. I don't think war should happen.
Yeah, right.
Wait,
okay, cool.
Curiosity, are you pro-life or pro-choice?
I'm somewhere in between.
Somewhere in
yeah,
between?
personally, which is why it's good to like
Would you
have
want
these
to tell me your
conversations.
opinion? I'm genuinely curious.
Yeah. So I'm supportive of first trimester abortions. So
okay,
in the first trimester, 13 weeks.
Yeah,
some people draw the line at different places, so we want to kind of figure out why people draw the line, where they draw the line. Yeah.
Are you saying that, like, okay, say the woman is gonna die, obviously, like, and she's like in the last trimester, she's like literally gonna die. The baby still hasn't got organs. You can die with an abortion,
If I'm supportive of medical reasons.
Yeah,
or, like,
yeah.
medical
Well, that's
abortions.
valid.
I think most people are supportive of.
Well,
it.
that's valid. Like, I wouldn't personally, like, obviously it's your choice. I would say, for me personally, I would think that anyone can get an abortion at any time. It's really not my business. It's your body, but I respect your decision.
Yeah. When do you think a human life begins and has rights?
Once it's rights. Once it's born.
If it has rights, once it's born.
Okay, so
it has rights.
what about like a day or maybe 2 weeks before it's born? Would you still say that? Would you still be pro-abortion, or would you like draw a line somewhere and say no abortions beyond this point?
Well, I would say it's not up to me, it's up to the person, because it is your body, your choice.
So you wouldn't draw a line, you'd say whatever the woman wants to do, you would let them do it?
It really depends on the situation.
I think it depends on the medical situation personally. Like,
Let's say there was no outstanding medical reason, it was just a matter of convenience.
Like a day before it's due.
Well, I would...
At that point,
I'm like,
you're probably already going into labour.
Exactly.
The only way the baby's going to die at that point is when it's out.
I don't even think that you can have medical abortions at that point without an actual reason.
Yeah. I guess it's a question that tries to find where you guys would draw the line. So like, you know, if we creep it back and we go 1 week, or we go 1 month, or we go 2 months.
I'm really not sure. I would say probably.
I need to look into.
I would need to look at what the baby looks like.
Yeah,
because I don't actually know.
Okay,
I actually don't know.
Let's actually do like a little experiment all together.
Like a livable child, you know what I mean? If
Like
it gave
viable
birth
outside
right
of the womb?
now, yeah, if it gave birth
I
right now,
think-
it could live.
I would say.
I think 6 weeks.
Do you want to jump in? What are your names, by the way? I didn't I'm Rich.
I'm Fern.
Fern?
I'm Jay.
Scarlett.
Aranza. I'm not actually part of like these guys. I just came and saw. But I believe like 6 weeks is when you should have the baby from then on, because it's not your body anymore. It's like another human being. You're not actually looking after your body if you're like killing somebody like a week before they're being born.
Okay, super interesting. So we might have some disagreements here, but this is good. This is what we're about. So if you guys could group around just a little bit more. So this is like a fetal development website. It just kind of runs us through what different stages of development look like. Where would you draw the line personally about where you would support an abortion versus where you would say no more abortions?
As I said, I think 6 weeks.
You would say 6 weeks?
I would say.
Well, there is a time limit for
I
how
would
long you're
say-
allowed to have an abortion.
We're trying to say, let's say we're
10
writing
weeks,
laws.
because
Where
that's
would
when
we
the
write
organs
this?
and
Where
structures
do you
are.
think it should be appropriate?
I would
I'm
say
Rich,
10
by the way.
weeks.
What's your name?
Dakota.
I would say when the heart.
I'm
and
saying,
brain
yeah,
is-
10 weeks. Organs and structures, 10
10
weeks.
weeks. Okay, so
10 weeks for any reason that isn't a medical valid reason.
okay,
If it's just a
so we've
normal
got
kid.
6 weeks, 10 weeks. Do you have an idea of where you would draw the line, Dakota?
Same thing.
Same thing.
If
Okay.
that's when the organs like
So,
ready to live.
isn't it interesting that we actually are we're much closer in our positions than we might initially think. Like I said, first trimester abortions. You guys have drawn the line even earlier than I have.
Oh, really?
At 10 weeks. First trimester is 13 weeks.
Then
So,
I'd probably do
Then I'd probably say
Semester.
13 weeks. I didn't know the semester.
No, that's all good. That's all good. So, in which case, if there was a woman who fell pregnant, she realized that she was pregnant,
Yeah.
let's say at 10 weeks, decides to keep the baby,
Okay.
but then at the end of the second trimester, 26 weeks in, decides I'm not in a financial situation to keep the baby, it's too much stress, or I don't really feel like I can support this child.
I would say, I say that she should be allowed to abort the child because
Beyond 13 weeks?
Well, because the current adoption system and it's fucked. It's not good. It needs to be changed.
Don't have sex if you can't like handle it. Just you're actually killing somebody. That's not you.
But the whole point of sex is not to have children.
Wait, but hold on.
But if you want to be safe about it, you can have safe sex. If you can't have safe sex because you're going to kill somebody, then
but you've also got to keep taking into account condoms breaking, rape.
But hold on.
all these things.
Let's assume that the mother or the female who's pregnant knows that they're pregnant, have chosen to keep it, but then they change their mind later, like beyond where you said 10 weeks, beyond where you said 6 weeks, 13 weeks. So let's say it's 26 weeks. So they've had plenty of time. And now they're saying, I don't want it anymore because I don't feel like I can take care of it.
But can I say something? You mentioned adoption. Do you know how many children in the adoption are stuck in the system?
So we're just going to kill them.
Plus, once they get past the age of, say, around 13, most parents don't want them because they're teenagers, and parents want small children
Then, as I
because
said,
then they can
if
raise
you
them.
can't- if
Hold
you
on,
can't
but they
handle
raise
it-
them as their parent from a small child.
So I want to just quickly jump in. So I understand your point. Does that make it okay to where would you say a life begins? Maybe is a question that I would have for you.
Depends whose life is at stake.
Look into the weeks more.
I'm not sure I know what you mean by that.
If a child is beyond a certain point of the pregnancy and it's past, say we said 13 weeks.
Heartbeat is at 10 weeks as an example.
If the mother will drown in financial problems, then neither the baby or the mother is going to have a good life. So there's no point. And if the mother is at a point where their life is at stake, say they have problems with their heart, they have a disease, anything like that, then the child's not going to live up the life that they need to. Even if the child has a disease and say it's a life-threatening disease that they may not live very long, what's the point of having that child and making them go through those few years of suffering for the child to then die anyway?
And then you'd also grieve.
So
And then
just
you have to go through all of that.
Just to kind of wrap this up, because I want to make sure that we have a chat to some other people as well. am I right in saying that you would draw the line at 13 weeks where you would legalize abortion, but then beyond that you would say no unless it's medically necessary?
I'm personally not holding myself to 13 weeks
Yeah,
because
me
I
neither.
need to look more.
Look
I
a
don't know.
little more.
Yeah, I would need to
Would it be like
look
would
into
it be a heartbeat, or would it be like, for example, heartbeat is at like 10 weeks. It can start sucking its thumb around 13 weeks. It looks like a fully, like just a miniature human at the end of the second trimester. Is there something, is there a particular thing that you're looking for?
Majority of babies can't live outside the womb until they're in like 20 weeks-ish anyway.
Is that where you draw
without
the line?
life support.
So that's where we draw the line.
I would draw the line.
24 weeks.
If they can't
Yeah.
live without life support, then you shouldn't be like having that.
Yeah, I would say if they cannot be born at a point without, and like if they cannot be born and like survive at like a certain point of weeks, then they should be. It's
Okay.
abortion.
So
a baby and it can't survive by itself, like, and it's alive.
No, but
That's what I'm saying. Like, the mum needs to feed it, like, in its mouth. It can't just survive by itself. I don't know what you mean, actually.
Like in
viability. Viability, but
Say
what you're
you had
saying
a
is that
premature
even
child.
outside of the womb, it's not viable
That's
in
what
and
I'm
of
saying.
itself.
They're
Yeah.
saying, oh yeah, like without life support, but I'm just like, well, a baby can't live without help.
So last question for all of you. Perhaps we could say that you might identify more so as pro-choice.
We are pro-choice.
And pro-choice,
Yeah.
and you might say you're a little bit more
I don't know.
towards.
I just think that there can be a certain point, but people say, oh, my choice, my body, but it's just like not your body. It's someone else in there as well.
What do you think that people who are here, or the majority of people who are here who say that they're pro-choice, what do you think is like the central thing that they're missing?
I feel like they're a bit uneducated in the fact that they haven't looked into how the baby is formed and how it lives, and the fact that if people are responsible, then they can not do that. They can try and have safe sex, and obviously if it's medical or rape, then, you know, it's different, but there are other options that you can do without killing somebody that is not just your body.
Okay. And is there something that you would say, generally speaking, you think pro-life has missed?
I believe that pro-life has missed out on a lot of things, like the counters of rape, the counters of...
Say what you want. You guys are more than welcome to like check us out on TikTok.
I'm fine
and
with
YouTube
saying
and all
it.
that.
Like,
We're
I'm just
definitely
saying my
not
opinion.
anti-trans.
Like, I would say pro-life is definitely missing out on the trauma and the foster system and all those things, all the account that comes into fact with having a child when you don't want it. And I do not believe that they realise how traumatising it can be, because if you look at the facts, most pro-lifers are men.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing your perspectives. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Have a good day.
Take care. Bro, what would you say to a pro-lifer if you were going to convince them? Do you know, like...
What business is it of theirs?
What's that?
What business is it of theirs?
So you would just say it's none of their business?
Yeah.
Even if it's a woman saying... Okay.
If she doesn't want an abortion, don't get one.
Did you just out of curiosity, so essentially my body, my choice is the argument. Would you say the same thing with something like vaccine mandates? Like, were you supporting of vaccine mandates or no? Or conscription, 2 instances?
No, I'm not supportive of conscription, no.
Okay. What about vaccine mandates?
Vaccine mandates. Yep.
Yeah. What do you see as the difference there? Like, why does my body, my choice apply in one sense but not the other?
Well, because vaccine mandates aren't actually enforced by law. You don't have to have a vaccine. Whereas people are trying to make people have babies.
Yeah. Well, I guess some pro-lifers would say just have safe sex in the first place or have an abortion earlier. Right? Like, would you draw a line somewhere where you would say no more abortion, or you reckon right up until the baby pops out?
Mate, I wish someone would fucking abort me.
No, I don't say that, man. Well, I'm happy to have you here.
Thank you.
What do you think pro-lifers are missing out on if you were going to convince them of your position?
What are they missing out on?
Yeah, like what are they not seeing?
The right to safely abort their babies, if they so choose to do that.
And, you know, if a pro-lifer said life begins at conception, where would you say life begins?
Life begins at birth.
At birth, okay.
Yep.
So does the fetus only have rights once it's born, or does it have rights a little bit earlier, like second trimester or a particular number of weeks?
Well, usually second trimester would be considered a late-term abortion, so I mean that's not usually a thing that has to happen unless someone is either the mother is in danger or the baby is in danger.
Yeah, right. So like medical reasons.
Yeah, that's
like that.
right. That's right.
What if it wasn't medical reasons? Would you support it, or would you say no?
No doctor would do that. No doctor would perform that surgery.
Yeah, no. Let's say it was like a social thing, like she doesn't feel like she can financially take care of the child. Would you be supportive or supportive of abortion still?
Yes.
Okay. Right up until birth. Or like if it was a month out.
If it's a month out, they're obviously carried that baby with them for 8 months.
Yeah.
They've decided that they're going to keep it.
Oh, but
nobody is going to change their mind at 8 months.
Oh, but like let's say, for example,
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say, and I know what you're trying to do, and I don't fucking like it. So maybe you should go and talk to someone else.
Sure, go for it.
Thanks. Fuck that guy! Fuck that guy! Fuck that guy! Fuck that guy!
Would you guys support that? Like 1 week out from a pregnancy, would you say it's still the mother's choice as to whether or not?
If it's your life, it's her life. If it's your body, it's your choice. If it's not, then shut.
So yeah, so when would you say that the fetus becomes a human or has rights?
I think that's
No, the fetus.
my choice, my body, my
Yeah, but
choice.
does the fetus have rights?
My choice has rights. My choice.
Okay, so the fetus doesn't have rights.
My choice.
No, you're not.
My choice. Because that woman has to raise that baby. Where's your uterus?
I don't have one.
Then shut up. My body, where is your uterus, man?
I don't have one.
Seriously.
If you don't have a uterus.
Well, so I'm asking. Let's say that someone
Do
disagrees
you,
with you.
and do you love anyone who has a uterus? You love people with uteruses?
Yeah, I mean, I have a mum, I have two sisters.
Then have a baby and give birth to a baby who is a human.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would make them do that and bring that child into the world, and then that child has to have a life. And that woman is that child's mother. I'm her mother. I love her. If I had been in trouble, she had a choice. If she could not have had her, if I could not have given her a life, I would be in hell right now. I gave her life because I could give her life. If I couldn't give her life, I wouldn't give her life. I have a uterus. It's my choice. If you get a uterus, you choose.
So let's say I had a uterus.
Then have a baby if you want a fucking baby, man. But if you don't want a baby,
If a woman disagrees with you.
fuck these guys. It's the woman's uterus, man. It's the woman's uterus.
Fuck these cunts! 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 Get the fuck out of here!
Ignorance!
Get
It is
the bullshit out of here!
ignorance!
What do you believe?
Fuck you, that's what I
What do you believe?
I believe you're a piece of shit. Fuck off.
What do you believe?
I think you need your testes stomped on, because then there won't be any more.
Shit, fuck.
My body, my fucking choice! Yes.
Why is it a fucking question?
You know,
That's all right. Yeah.
You don't belong here.
get the shit out of here. Fuck off.
So if you were going to convince someone who disagreed with you, what would you say to them?
I tell them they're fucking stupid.
We don't give a shit if you disagree.
You don't belong here.
We don't-
This is your state. You
We
do
don't give a
not
shit.
belong here. Fucking choice. Go home. You need to go away.
You don't even know my position.
You're asking me my opinion. I didn't want to ask you yours.
Fuck these cunts! Fuck these cunts! Fuck these cunts! Fuck these cunts! Fuck these cunts!
Wait, Liam. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Common Ground Conversations, where we are at the protest here at State Library, Victoria. What are you protesting? Protesting the overturning of Roe v. Wade in America. And we're asking people whether they're pro-life or pro-choice, why they believe what they believe. They're not too happy we're here. What do you believe? I like it. That's funny. I saw one earlier today that was like, it was like snip snip vasectomies or something like that. I like the puns.
Yeah.
I like the puns.
They're very creative.
Is there something you would say to a pro-lifer to try and convince them of your position?
You can't be pro-life if you're killing women over their babies. Like, they're getting incarcerated for something that they are going to die for. If they can't have an abortion, they're going to fucking die.
So like medical abortions?
Yeah. If you're banning abortions, you're banning safe abortions. They're still going to have abortions whether you're like on board or not. If they have an unsafe abortion, they're probably going to die.
Exactly.
Women would rather kill themselves than have babies sometimes. They're more likely to kill women by banning abortions than saving any lives.
So your concern is in particular, if we ban abortions beyond a certain point, then people will seek out unsafe abortions.
It's proven that they do.
It's like statistically proven. As well as like the system of
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
The system of like putting like children in foster care and stuff, it's a fucked up system.
Yeah, even if they have the child, that child is not going to grow up in a safe, happy environment because they weren't
If they're unwanted, yeah, I don't think that's a great environment for a child either.
It's not good for the child, it's not good for the parents, it's not good for anyone, there's no point.
Yeah, so I'm assuming both of you obviously would say that you're pro-choice. Yeah.
About you and everything that you do. I heard you got a new man.
I'm not even explaining.
We would say
So, would you draw a line beyond which you would say you can't have an abortion, or would you go all the way to?
It's their choice. At a certain point, if it's viable outside of the womb, no.
Yeah.
If it's viable and it got to a certain point, personally no. But if it puts the woman in danger, she's more important at that point.
Interesting. Okay, I think we would actually find a lot of common ground there, because I also think somewhere around either first or second trimester, which is like end of second trimester, 26 weeks, is where my understanding of it begins to become viable, which is actually the law we have in Victoria.
Yeah.
We have 24 weeks.
Really, it's up to the medical professionals and the woman to give consent for that. There's no... I don't know how to word
No,
that.
hey, you're doing a great job. You're doing a great job.
Thank
So,
you.
so let's say, for example, the baby, we deemed the baby was viable, let's say 30 weeks, and the mother's financial situation were to change. Let's say her partner left and ditched, and you know, shame on that person. But let's say that now her financial situation has changed, and she's going to have some trouble supporting the child.
She should be able to have government payments and support for her child, because the way that the system works, especially for unwanted children, for wanted children, for people in poverty, the way that it works, they should be able to get support, like the people that need it. Because the way that it works is...
No, you're doing great. So I agree with you. Ideally, we would want any child born, any mother who has a child to have support, whether that's financial, emotional, all of it.
Yeah, but because we don't have that, obviously it's a lot more difficult to like navigate those laws.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say that we did. Right. Let's say that we had a really good system that provided for mothers and their children.
Yeah.
And it's 30 weeks in, and the mother, let's say that the financial situation weren't an issue. She had support, etc. All of these services.
She wouldn't, if that was the reason she needed to have or get rid of her baby or have an abortion. If she had support, she wouldn't need to. She could keep the child that she wants.
Yeah. Well, let's say that she changed her mind and she didn't want a child.
Yeah, adoption is still an option. I hate the adoption foster care system, obviously.
Could be much better.
It could be much better, but obviously that's still an option. It's the woman. She doesn't have to keep the child.
Sorry, I missed that last part.
She doesn't have to keep that child.
Yeah.
Like.
But so at that point, would you be saying to the mum that you have to have the pregnancy and then give it up for adoption?
I mean, at that point, probably. Personally, her choice. Medical professionals and her. Yeah. Like it wouldn't be.
Let's say there was no medical issue. It was more so just she didn't want the baby. Let's say that we had ideally, if we were creating a government.
No, we're all good.
And let's say we could give financial support, we could give emotional support. We made sure mothers had what they needed. We made sure that they could take care of their kids financially.
I would say that she could carry it out and have the baby, but that's her choice.
Okay, so ultimately, like your personal, that's what you would do, but you wouldn't mandate it upon someone else.
God, no.
Okay.
Why would I have to mandate her body? It's not.
The government
I have no part in that.
Yeah.
So then, ultimately, even though you personally would you might carry it to term, you don't believe that it's the government's role to say this is where the line is.
Why would they be involved in that?
Like,
Yeah.
I personally, I don't think I'd ever get an abortion, but it's everyone else's choice. I should be able to have that decision.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. No, look. I respect you for taking the time and explaining your position, and hopefully, maybe some people who watch this would realise that there are some similarities with positions. So I think when a lot of these people, by me asking the question, they think I'm automatically pro-life at conception or something like that, right? But you guys have done a really good job of explaining your position. So thanks for taking the time. Yeah. Hey. Do you want to explain what's your position and why?
I'm here to support everyone in America and everything. My mum, she got an abortion. Her partner was abusive, and he said that if she didn't get an abortion, basically, then he would break up with her. He was abusive.
That's horrible.
So I'm just here to support everyone because abortion is a healthcare right. It's not anything to really debate, to be honest.
Right.
And it doesn't matter whether the woman or person was raped, whether it's their choice, whether what. They're the person, the embryo. Yes, it does have rights, but it's ultimately the woman's choice because she's grown up, she's had all of these experiences, and she's doing what she's doing for a reason, and it's not anyone else's business as why she's doing that. It should just be a healthcare right, because if it's not, then all the women are going to be dying around the world.
Do you guys agree with that generally, or all same position?
I just wanted to apologise to you guys because I thought you were way worse than you are. But I started the chant earlier. You guys are not as bad as I thought.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, because we're generally trying to have a conversation, and like I know that some people who say that they're pro-life, if they heard your position, they might actually be more lenient to coming that way.
There was people at the front who actually went to hit people who were pro-life. So that's what I thought you guys were.
Oh, right. Yeah. See, that's horrible. We're totally not for that. We're totally not for that.
Yeah. I respect your debate. I'm sorry I started the chant earlier.
Yeah. No, thank you. I appreciate it.
I want to hear what you said to him.
You're saying he respects the fact that we're... Oh, well, sorry, you can speak for yourself.
There was a pro-life that's up the front who hit people, and I thought they were part of that. That's why I started chanting for them to go fuck themselves.
Yeah.
So,
Did you?
Yeah. But what he's saying is that we're not part of that group, right?
You're not?
We're having a respectful conversation where these people are explaining their position and why they believe what they believe.
Yeah, but you're not explaining. You asked me what my position was, and then you said, but I didn't ask you your permission.
Yeah.
But
Do you want my position?
Yeah. Well, yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
sure,
okay.
go.
So me personally, I'm supportive of first trimester abortions. That's where I would draw the line.
And then after that, you've got to go through with it. If you miss the first trimester.
Yeah. I think so. By the end of
people don't know that they're pregnant for the first trimester.
So my understanding is that most women find out between 4 and 7 weeks, which gives them some choice.
7 weeks is early. I've had 2 pregnancies.
When did you find out that you were pregnant?
With my first one, it was early, but with my second one, it was about 9 weeks.
9 weeks, okay.
Because I'd been unwell.
Yeah. And so I guess my thinking is that I want to allow women who find out late that they still have a choice. So let's say you found out in week 9 that end of first trimester would be 13 weeks. You would still have 4 weeks to decide, do I want to keep this or do I want to continue?
If it's a healthy, normal baby and I don't want to have the healthy, normal baby,
yeah.
I cannot have this baby.
Yeah, well, so, let's
I
say,
don't want to limit that.
I'm not sure I understood. Sorry.
I don't want to bring a baby into the world if I cannot find a safe place for that baby to grow up.
Yeah.
I will not have that responsibility.
So
I know women.
Yeah. No, I actually agree with you.
I know women
think you should
in the
have that choice.
60s who had babies because they got pregnant and their parents forced them to have the baby. And then they got the baby taken away.
Don't say hi to me.
No, he's okay. I'm talking to him. They got the baby taken away.
I'm glad that we changed our mind. Yeah.
Mother-daughter.
Yeah. I remember.
And then.
But you're much more respectful now than what you were before.
Well, I was very angry.
I think you being
Yeah.
I want to finish the story. There are women out there who lost their babies. They gave birth to babies, and their parents were ashamed, and they took the baby away, and they gave it away. They adopted it out. And I know women, and I know men and women who were in that situation who never felt like they knew their mother, and I knew mothers who knew they had a baby that they never met. And some of those babies were so traumatized that they became drug addicts and they became homeless and they suffered.
Yeah. I mean, we were just saying with these girls over here that ideally, whoever gives birth to a baby, we want them to have all the support that they need. What, you know, financial, emotional, everything.
Well, they don't
I know, and that's a problem, right? So
we'll have every baby when you guys can support every baby.
Hold on, what do you mean, you guys?
The government.
So that for everyone who's listened, for everyone. So
why are you here? I am interested in
genuinely,
why are you here?
do you want me to answer?
Yes, I do. Why are you here?
So we run a channel called Common Ground Conversations. We want to ask the important but controversial questions and then try to see if we can find common ground. So that's why when I asked you, when I first saw you,
Abortion rights are human rights.
It's why I was asking.
What you need to do is that this is
can I finish telling you?
No, you can't, because this is antagonistic of the group. So, as a lovely lady back there said, you have to read the room. If you
what do you think I should have on here? Why are you pro-choice?
No. Tell me your story.
Actually, I genuinely think this is
I think the thing is this sign, because everyone here is clearly pro-choice.
Yeah, so
there's thousands of people here pro-choice.
What do you think it should say?
It's antagonistic.
Just have a conversation.
We want to understand. So let's say someone disagrees with you. What's the best way to try and convince them of your position? Sorry, there's just a lot of people.
Do you know
I hope so.
You've never fucking found it in your life, have you? It's a fucking mystery to you.
Hold on. No, but in all seriousness, it doesn't have to be a question like this. It can be like, why are you here? Like she said, tell us your story. Because it does. Why pro-life or pro-choice? We're obviously all here protesting pro-choice because it's our choice. It's not her choice to make my abortion choice. It's not someone else's choice. It's mine.
What do you think pro-lifers are missing? Right? If you were going to try and convince someone, who's...
Why are we convincing them?
We should be...
Well, what do you think when someone disagrees with you?
We think that the argument... Okay, we think that we shouldn't have to convince people because it's their bodies. Like, they shouldn't have to convince anyone. It's not a democratic issue, it's an individual choice issue.
Can I ask you a question? If I have an abortion, how does that affect your life?
Well, we're asking the question because we want to figure out what is moral.
I'm asking you this question now. If I have an abortion, what does that do to your life?
Let's say, for example, that I were pro-life. So I just explained to this lady, I'm pro-first trimester abortions.
Yeah.
If I believe that a life begins after the first trimester, well, that's where I draw the line of saying the fetus now becomes a baby with human rights, then I would have an issue with that.
That's fine. Look,
But human rights would overpower her human rights?
I would say there are two sets of human rights that we have to try and balance.
But keep in mind,
Baby is able to fucking talk to her and tell her that this baby wants to live. Like, if this baby is literally able to communicate with her, someone who's trying to fight for her own rights, then they can have a discussion about it. I don't care, but it's up to them. And at that time, it kind of feels like it's up to her.
Okay. Can I explain to you why I might disagree with that, and you can tell me where you think I go wrong? So, say for example, a baby's born. The baby can't communicate exactly what it wants to the mother.
It's non-verbal communication. They learn it from the start.
Yeah. Well,
from the start, they can communicate non-verbally.
We could say the same thing about the fetus, couldn't we? So for example, when you shine a light on the fetus in the womb, at a certain stage, it'll start to turn away. Right, so there are certain forms of non-verbal communication.
I'm sorry, are you a doctor?
I actually did study medicine at university, Melbourne University. Yeah.
What's that? Did you finish studying medicine?
I actually left. Yeah.
That doesn't sound like you finished studying.
No, I didn't. I didn't finish studying. But yeah, I did study medicine for 4 years.
Okay, so let's put it this way. I'm studying live alone, great. Cost of living, ridiculous. Why would I want to bring a baby into the world where I can't support it?
Right. So for example, if someone were pro-life, said that the life started at conception, anti-abortion, you would say to them...
I'd end up setting this child up for failure because I can't provide for myself and another child.
Right. So
that's not okay.
So in making sure that you have the right to make the decision about whether or not you have an abortion,
yes.
You would say, if I'm not ready for the kid, I shouldn't be forced to have it, right?
100%.
Right, okay. So is there a point where you would draw the line and say, that a woman has had her decision or her time to...
For me, I have my own opinion, and I think obviously I make the decision early, but if someone else wants to do it later, that doesn't concern me, because you don't know what they're going through. You don't know how the mental health of that person is going through the pregnancy. All the hormones, everything changes. You can't tell. You can't predict the future. I know where I draw the line, but that doesn't matter. I don't know
Where would you draw the line?
I would decide fairly early on, and I know for certain that I won't be able to support a child.
Okay. So why is it that you would decide early on as opposed to later on? Why do you think that's better?
I wouldn't want to carry a child and attach myself to that child, but some people don't have that attachment. It depends.
I respect you taking the time. Yeah. Would you, let's say for example, it was end of second trimester. Let's say it was end of second trimester, and let's say it's our friend. Let's say our friend thought that they wanted to have the baby but decided not to, and that they now want to have an abortion end of second trimester.
If my friend wanted to have If my friend wanted to have an abortion at the end of her second trimester, that is her choice and I'm not getting in the way. I'll support her regardless because it's her decision, it's her beliefs. It's not my choice. Would I do it is a different question. I probably wouldn't. That's me, but it's not everybody.
Okay. No, I respect that. I respect that. Would you carry that right up until birth? Like you would keep that position right up until birth, where obviously when the baby is born, you would say that the baby has its own rights and the mother has its own rights.
Well, once the child is born, yes. Okay. But I guess as someone living, living in this economy and living the way we are and studying and all of that, I know very early on that I'm not going to provide a quality life for this child. In America, you think about it, they don't have universal health rights. They don't have all the parental rights. They have nothing. So if you're living in poverty over there, you're going to be more in poverty because it costs so much money to raise a child.
Sorry, it's so hard to hear you.
No, I know. So he's listening. Just give him a sec.
He's giving me He's engaging more than a right-winger who wants to kick the shit out of us is. Seriously, there were right-wingers up there who actually...
Yeah. Just to clarify, this guy was saying there were some other people who are actually hardcore right-wingers who assaulted someone. We are not those people. You're more than welcome to. We're actually giving you guys a platform to explain your decision.
Yeah, and you give us
I feel like you're really respectful of me, and I hope you feel like I'm respectful of you.
Yeah, 100%. And you're giving me a chance, and you're being open, and it's a conversation, and that's important because, this is one thing, but they're not getting the full story. Obviously, we want our choice. Everyone has their own reasoning. You look in America, they don't have any financial support from the government, and this is what this is all for. We're here for America. We're here for each other. We're here for everybody. All females that have their own choice, and that's important.
And something that I very much respect is we might disagree on certain things, but if we disagree, my sense is the best way for us to find common ground is for you to tell me your position and for me to tell you
Don't
my
push,
position, right?
As long as no one forces their opinion on me, I'm fine.
Yeah, which is why we've had a really nice conversation. What was your name again?
Sophie.
Sophie, thanks for taking the time, Sophie. I really appreciate it. I was rich. Yeah.
Can we put this on you and interview you? Yes!
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Thank you so much. So what had you come down today?
What's that?
What had you come down today?
We thought we would ask people what their position is and why they believe what they believe.
So,
and we've had some really, really respectful conversations. Yeah.
And what do you believe?
Currently, I would say I'm supportive of first trimester abortions, but I'm very much open to being swayed either way. Yeah. So, which is why I'm asking people where they would draw the line, what they believe, why they might draw the line at a particular stage. So, yeah.
So are you here to make a decision? Are you hoping that someone will come to you today and give you the answer?
Yeah. I mean, everyone that I've spoken to...
Does this not do it?
Well, I'm trying to actually ask people why they believe what they believe, and then if there's some information that you think I've missed, maybe you can highlight it in my position. And maybe I'll move closer towards closer towards your position, or I might present something to you that you might not have seen, and it might change your perspective as well. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally understand.
Yeah.
But just
Sorry,
I'm immovable.
I'm in interview mode, so if you.
I just think I totally understand and appreciate the whole like getting different perspectives, but it's not a woman's like position to educate you and help you make a decision. It's not our position.
So if someone disagrees with you, whether they're a male, female, whatever, let's just say a female.
Don't fucking cut! 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 Don't fucking cut!
I'm sorry to ruin your interview.
No, this is great.
Yeah. Did you have anything else that you wanted to ask?
Don't fucking cut!
Ask if they're gonna abort a baby.
If you guys, we have on YouTube, we're Common Ground Conversations.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, feel free, we'll upload some stuff as well if you want to. Yeah. So, what about you guys? Are you filming something?
We're Tour de Nude.
Tour de Nude. Awesome. What are you guys trying to do?
We're filming a documentary around Australia at the moment from Perth with a photography company.
We take mass group nude shoots for women and non-binary people and like raise awareness and incite conversations about gender-based violence and shit like that.
Forced vasectomy! Forced vasectomy! Forced vasectomy! Forced vasectomy! Forced vasectomy! Forced vasectomy! Forced vasectomy!
How would you feel if we forced you to get a vasectomy?
Not good.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't know. None of you even know my position.
We've been hitting you with your stupid fucking rhetorical questions, hypotheticals. You can't come here and tell us what to do when you would never make that decision for yourself.
What would you say to...
Oi, how does it feel to have zero pussy in your entire life?
Do you know where the clit is? The answer is no, you don't.
What would you say to a pro-lifer to convince them of your position?
Why is there no laws for a man's body when there's laws for a woman's body?
Yeah, what is it?
How uncomfortable would you feel if we made you get a vasectomy?
A woman can have one baby a year and a man can make millions of women pregnant in a year. So it's really the man's problem. If you want to force anyone, you should force their bodies to be restricted.
What choice does a man have in this matter? What choice do men have in this matter?
Would it make a difference to you if I was a woman?
Huh?
Would it make a difference to you if I was a woman?
What? It'd be your choice. It's your choice.
So you just think anyone can do anything with their body?
Yeah,
right.
It's their body.
Were you supportive of vaccine mandates?
Huh? Am I supportive of vaccine mandates? Yeah, I think everybody should get vaccinated.
Do you see how there's a bit of a logical inconsistency there?
What's the logical inconsistency? Vaccines save lives.
If you say my body, my choice, that would also imply you would do the same for vaccine mandates.
Well, they can choose not to get the vaccine. That's their choice. But the stats show that vaccine saves lives.
Yeah, but you wouldn't legally mandate it then.
What? Well, I would legally mandate that a woman has the ability to get a...
They're here trying to see everyone's opinions and they're just as bad as
Fuck centrists!
Fuck centrists!
Anyway.
Fuck centrists!
Anyway, that's okay. What was I saying? Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that forcing people to have a child that they do not just cause extra problems. It causes problems such as like the foster system already being overloaded. It forces people with disabilities to have health issues and die because they cannot carry a child. People that are raped, people that have been stealthed, which is when a man takes off their condom and unconsensually has sex with anyone. That's okay.
She's trying to explain her position.
Yeah, so people that are stealthed...
That's quite disrespectful.
It's okay. Anyway, yeah, people that are stealth, so that means that like they can fall pregnant without their consent because they wanted to have a condom and have sex. There's just a bunch of issues that people don't understand, and that's abortion isn't just about killing the baby; it's also about saving the person that's going to give birth as well.
Yeah, 100%. I would agree with you there.
Yeah,
I think that's what's kind of missing these conversations.
Yeah, I think the reason why people are getting it wrong because they think you're a centrist.
What do you think the sign should say?
Maybe just pro-choice question mark.
Pro-choice. Really? I would have thought people would be just as pissed off. Out of curiosity, you know, would you be supportive of abortions all the way up until birth, or would you draw a line somewhere?
I think that is a very tricky situation because there are some people that do not realise that they're pregnant right up until they are giving birth. But I think...
Really?
Yes.
All the way up until
Yes,
birth?
because you can be pregnant and also have your period.
But like, wouldn't you notice that there's a big thing?
There's a lot of people don't notice up until
all the way until birth.
yeah.
Okay, I might need to look into that.
There's a very high percentage actually. I think it's something like 1% of pregnancies. That doesn't sound like a lot, but you know that's 1 out of 100.
For people who might know that they're pregnant earlier, like we spoke to a lady before who said she knew at 9 weeks.
Mm-hmm. That's not very long.
Yeah. My understanding is like 4 to 7 weeks you can figure it out.
I think up until,
but it could be longer.
I think it's really up to the. I think it's really up to the woman, but I think when you enter the 3rd trimester, there should be discussions with doctors, of course, but obviously it's the woman's choice, or it's the person's choice all the way. I'm 100% pro-choice.
Alrighty, ladies and gents, that is a wrap for today's episode of Common Ground Conversations. I thought I'd leave you with this clip of these girls grabbing our sign after it's been defiled, only to realise that they actually like the graffiti on it, so putting it back. Oh, goodness. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy the video, then please pop a like, or pop a like on the video. It kind of helps push it out to other people. And if you love what we're doing and you're about it, you want to support us and the growth of the channel, then hit the subscribe button below and the notification bell icon to get pinged when we drop the next episode. You can also shop our merch to become a part of the tribe, or grab yourself a deck of our controversial conversation cards if you want to have more of these combos in your own life. Because it is worth you being reminded that your voice matters. It really does. We have some complex problems to face as a society, and I truly believe that the best way to solve them is open and respectful dialogue. And you are a part of that process. You and I now both have a responsibility to carry this attitude of open dialogue, genuine curiosity into our own lives. With that said, take care of yourselves. I'll see you in the next episode. Ciao.